Hi, welcome to ST201. I'm Kelsey Espinosa, and I'm going to be doing stats with you this term. As you may have noticed, most things at OSU are now remote, so cute picture, I think, of my office door. It's not going to be accessible during this term. However, I am accessible by Zoom and by email, so definitely feel free to email me. It's really helpful if you put ST201 in the subject line. And I do have Zoom office hours Thursdays and Fridays from 2:30 to 3:30. Or by appointment. That means if those times don't work for you, email me and we can figure another time out. So just a little about me. I was born and raised in the North Bay in California. I went to Napa Valley College, so I went to community college. Here's one of my good friends that I got in my Calc 2 class to go through the physics sequence with me. We got married last summer, so hey, you never know. Sonoma State was next for me in stats, and then Montana State for me. I had never seen a snow. Definitely really exciting, fun stuff. So during the summer, I definitely picked up a handful of hobbies that I hadn't really had before, including making masks. I had no sewing experience, but I've been having, some fun figuring it out. I got really into gardening, so I have my cucumbers, I have my beans, my tomatoes, some sunflowers, and of course, cuddling with Booby, which, believe it or not, is a Hobbit reference. So, it's in there. Just thank fourth grade little sister for that one. So, some things about this class. I know a lot of people walk into stats and they're worried that, oh no, I can't do math or I don't feel comfortable. This really is not a math class. We will use some math, but for the most part, it's a lot more about interpreting results. So, yes, we will use some math, but it's going to be a lot more focused on, well, okay, we did this math, what does it mean? And just one more note here. Some folks will be asking me, hey, here's my my lecture time. What is this Tuesday time? This is an exam time. You do not need to worry about this time. It's not something we're using. If we had been on campus, this would be Tuesday of week 6. We would have taken the exam. We're not going to do that in this class this term. So you do not need to worry about that time. So our class in a nutshell, we want to be able to describe data with numbers and graphs. We want to talk about how we should obtain data, because where data come from is really, really important. So we want to be able to discuss how studies are designed, how experiments are designed, because how they're designed really dictates what we can say about the results. We're going to have a little bit of probability so that we can make more inferences to the population, and then we're going to use inference methods. So we're going to start trying to answer questions like, hey, what is the average height of all OSU students? Or is the average height of all OSU students shorter than 5 feet? Something like that. So for emails, please feel free and safe to email me if you want to set up an appointment, you have a personal question. Definitely, if you have questions about course policy, but please do read the syllabus first. The syllabus really does answer a lot of the questions that I've been getting. But yeah, if you have a situation going on, you can share as much or as little as you want. You can say, hey, Kelsey, I have something going on at home. That's enough just to have it kind of on the record. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you need? I can work with you. It just also helps because later on, when if something happens, I'm able to go back and I have a record of that, and it really impacts how we can help. So if you have content questions, we really, really encourage those to go to the discussion boards, because most of the time you have a content question. You are not the only person. You're not one of 2 people. You're probably at least one of 5 to 10 people at least that have that exact same question. So it is super useful if we can get y'all to post questions regarding the lecture content on those discussion boards. And we do regularly check those. We do try to make sure. And if for some reason you've posted on there and didn't get an answer, please feel free to follow up with an email saying, hey, I posted, I didn't get a response, because we do want to answer those. Okay, so material. Canvas is required. It's pretty much, it's necessary. It's where we're going to post lecture material. It's pretty much where we're going to post all of our assignments. The Canvas calendar is going to be a huge help. It's where we post our recitation work. Gradescope is connected to Canvas, so it's not something you need separate. So if you have Canvas, you will have access to Gradescope. So absolutely, you need to have Canvas set up. Honestly, if you don't have Canvas set up, you're probably going to have a hard time viewing this video as it is. If you do have issues with that, please let me know. So then a graphing calculator, we highly recommend them, although even a scientific calculator like the one built into your phone, that should be okay. It's just these particular calculators have a lot of really nifty stats functions that can be really useful. And then I really want to say we have an optional textbook. I say not recommend it. I don't recommend getting the e-text version because I believe if you buy it with Sapling, you may not have full access to it if we don't have a Sapling course set up for this class, which we don't. However, there are physical copies of this book. I think it's currently on the 9th edition. 7th or 8th edition is okay as well. Honestly, if costs are a concern whatsoever, just know that all content that we will expect you to have covered for ST201, we will give you in the form of notes and slides on Canvas. So we will give you access to all the content we expect you to have. So some format of the course, some of y'all have already noticed. These lecture videos are going to be pre-recorded and released prior to the class meetings. And this is for a number of reasons. I mean, a lot of people's living situations have changed up with the shift to remote. Some people are not in Oregon. Some people are across the world, you know. I mean, it's really, really difficult to get 2 Zoom meetings in a day with over 80 people in each one. For one specific hour and a half each. So we will have this posted. There will be a discussion board for every day's lectures. I will be actively answering questions during our scheduled lecture times. So it is absolutely important. You do not want to fall behind. You don't want to go, oh, well, I can watch that later. Trust me, it is really easy to slip. So definitely try to keep up on the materials. You don't want to fall behind. And reach out to us. If you feel like, oh no, I am falling behind, I need some help, reach out to us so we can try to help you. And then what we aim to do here is we're going to start weekly content on Tuesdays and finish up on Thursdays. Most of the time we'll have, you know, some extra time. When we were on campus, we used to have Thursdays split. We used to have like a group activity and quiz, which we can't do because we're remote. So then recitations. They're Thursdays and Fridays, and you're going to have 2 separate assignments due for each recitation. So you're going to have a pre-work assignment, and those are going to be due in Gradescope. So go on a Canvas, it'll link you to Gradescope. Thursdays by 5 p.m. So everybody needs it submitted Thursdays by 5 p.m. It's really important to know your TA's name and their email address. It's also going to be handy to have their Zoom address for, or their Zoom link for that recitation. And I do have all of those posted in multiple places on Canvas, as well as the syllabus. So we will use Zoom. You do need to check in. Yeah, this does require that y'all work in groups and work together. We'll probably use like breakout rooms in Zoom. And so you'll attend that scheduled hour. If for any reason you can't attend the hour that you signed up for, please reach out, like email me, and we can figure out like when we can get you in. So TAs, they're going to walk through that pre-work content because you'll will have submitted it. the pre-work is to prepare you for this recitation, and then they're going to get people set up in groups to work on the recitation worksheets. And so these worksheets, obviously we can't collect physical worksheets, but we are going to collect this pre-work worksheet in Gradescope, and then we're going to have that recitation worksheet in Gradescope. So because I do know that doing everything exactly synchronously is very, very complicated, the pre-work questions for everyone is going to be due Thursdays by 5. And then the recitation worksheet between Thursday at 5 and Friday. So between that Thursday evening and all day Friday, you need to make sure you submit it. You are absolutely welcome to submit it while you're in recitation. You're encouraged to. It's really, really not encouraged to put it off till later. It's easy to forget. Things to note, we're not going to meet this week. So no recitation for week 0, and we're also not going to do recitation for week 9. With that big holiday and that week, it's really, really difficult. So then we're going to have, this probably is actually called the student syllabus quiz. So the syllabus quiz, it's going to be due by Friday of next week. And it's pretty much, you have the syllabus in front of you, some questions about that. There's going to be a few info questions that you can't get wrong. They're just yes, no questions, or, oh, how many emails have you sent, that kind of thing. And then some access questions. So grading breakdown, it's going to be simpler than it has been in previous terms. We are going to have our weekly Canvas homework quizzes. They're not technically like quizzes per se, but we use the Canvas quiz like template to make them. So this is our weekly homework. It's 20 points each, and there are 10 assignments. So you will get, you will have them a quiz or homework associated with every week's material. So we won't have one due next Monday, but the Monday after, so the Monday of week 2 is when our first homework assignment will be due. So in general, we're not going to really accept late assignments, especially once the solutions have been posted. So definitely don't want this to lapse and contact us afterwards. It's really, really hard to work with that. And then do know, though, that, hey, maybe you didn't do well on one, or perhaps you missed one. We will drop one lowest assignment. Although know that this goes into effect at the end of the term. So once all assignments have been graded, then we drop one lowest quiz. And then we were just discussing our recitation quizzes here. So they have 2 parts here. So I think this is not quite, it is 300 points, but they're like 30 to 35 points each. Because we are not going to have recitation during week 9 because of the holiday. So the pre-work is typically 5 to 10 points. This is the work that you do to prepare for recitation. You have to submit it in Gradescope by Thursday at 5 p.m. And then the actual recitation activity. So you have an activity that you do in recitation with your classmates and your TA, and you could submit it during that time. But if it's absolutely like it's not something that you're able to do, do know that we keep that open until 11:59 p.m. on Friday. And just note that all times we give are in Pacific Standard Time. And then I wanted to throw out a comment on working together, because we do really encourage folks working together. A lot of times discussing these concepts and explaining them to one another is really useful, but it is really vital that your submissions are written independently. So you can totally discuss this, but when you go to submit your assignment, you're submitting it separately. You're not in the same room. You're not confirming wording and whatnot. It's really, really hard, because sometimes we'll get folks and we'll have identical assignments, and it comes down to, if two folks have the same exact assignment, we can't tell who gets the credit, and the result typically ends up being that nobody gets any credit, and then we have to report it because it's a form of plagiarism. And trust me, it's a headache. It's such a bummer for everyone. I absolutely hate having to report it. Please avoid that headache, and you can work with folks, but make sure you do the write-up on your own. And I just want to note, you can totally plagiarize yourself if you copy your own work. It could be work that you did in another term. It could be work that you've done in another course. You do not want to be caught plagiarizing yourself, because it's still plagiarism. I know it's weird. A lot of people don't think of plagiarizing themselves. It's very, very important that you keep that in mind. So please don't do it whenever we find it. We have to turn people in. It's a miserable day for everyone. So what should you do by Tuesday? Absolutely, please read the syllabus in full. I know some of it probably looks really familiar from every other syllabus. There's mentions of like the student success folks, the DAS folks. There's something about student evals in there. So please make sure. And then for once you do that, you can take the syllabus quiz. I mean, you can do it right away. Yes, I'm making it due at the end of week 1, but you can do it right away. So there's no good reason, if you've read the syllabus, to delay. We will not meet recitation week 0, but we will meet week 1. So complete week 1 pre-work before Thursday, October 1st at 5 p.m. So you must have it submitted. You cannot start at 5 p.m. You must submit by 5 p.m. And then I don't think we have separate recitation pages here, but we have a recitation section. So I think that should cover just our highlights for our, yep, absolutely. That's our highlights for the syllabus and intro, and I look forward to hearing from y'all in the discussion boards.